Hear us?
Yep, we hear you loud and clear.
Awesome.
Here we go.
You might
Okay.
think about getting these. Yeah. Sherry, is there anyone here that's just not on in view? Well, Julia Anderson is here. Okay. Someone is from YLC, but I don't know who. Rebecca Davis is here.
That's Donnie Allen from
Donnie
YLC.
Allen, thank you, Kirk. It's Donnie Allen at YLC. Okay.
Okay. I'll call this meeting to order. It's 4 o'clock. According to my Apple Watch. Let's stand and do the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I don't know the difference too, but Rebecca put in the chat that she's at ELC. Probably she's mentioning that because maybe somebody's going to come on from CLC. Okay.
All right, adopt the agenda. Are there any adjustments, correction, removals from the agenda as it was posted?
There is not, but I would like to say that I just forwarded all of you guys the unaudited actuals for Siskiyou. But what has not come yet is, you guys know how when they do their they do the budgets for us, there's always like some resolution for transfers. She said that hasn't come yet, and she said we'll get that in about 10 minutes. That was about 6 minutes ago. So as soon as I get that, I'll forward that to you. And
Well, in light of that,
just
yeah, in light of that, we should move 3.2 down below 3.6.
3.2 below 3.6.
Oh, excuse, not something, excuse me. I'm looking at the consent agenda. So, okay, it might, that'd be kind of close. We could just still move it below, make it the last action item.
We could, definitely. Yeah, and we can take some time when we get there to look at it.
Sure.
It's gonna be as amended.
Well, I have to have somebody, other than the chair, make a motion to, adopt it with that change.
I'll make a motion to change 5.5 to 5.6, 5.6 to 5.5 on the agenda.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Seconded. It was Melissa and Amy at the same time.
Yeah, I heard Amy first. So it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Bianca,
Aye.
Melissa,
Aye.
Rosemary,
I
Amy. I also approve. Motion carries. The agenda is amended. Presentations.
Yes.
We have our first student presenter.
And
It's
you know,
Nora.
it's not.
It's not.
I should have said that for the agenda, but that's okay. We had a last minute change today.
Okay.
So it is actually Katerina Freitas, and here she comes. There we go.
Welcome.
Hi. And Katerina is going to share with us her e-binder, and she is on Zoom and going to share the screen. All right, and I'll let you take it from here, Katerina.
Okay, so my name is Katerina Freitas. I'm 14 years old and I'm in ninth grade. My favorite subjects are hydroponics and American Sign Language. I have 3 really crazy brothers, a dog, pigs, including 11 babies, goats, sheep, chickens, ducks, rabbits, and a steer. I would really like to add horses to our mini farm. Mostly you can find me hanging out with my animals and sometimes showing them or practicing with them or being lazy. I love horses. I love horses and I hope to have a career with horses. I would also like to have a career with agriculture, at least something to do with livestock. So this is the homepage of my e-binder, and my e-binder is used for my Avid elective class. I have Avid elective twice a week and we meet on Zoom. One thing we did at the beginning of the semester was to create our own e-binders. First, we went into our drive and we pressed the plus sign and went to Google Sites and we added pages for all of our classes. We made folders for all our classes for the notes and practice assignments. We put the folders on our pages in our e-binders. We decorated each of our class pages. E-binders help all of your assignments to be in one place that is easy to get to, so you don't need to scroll through your docs looking for notes or assignments. E-binders are part of organization in the AVID acronym. WICR. WICR stands for Writing, Inquiry, Collaboration, Organization, and Reading. So this is my e-binder. And I have a page for FFA, which is a club that we are trying to start. And it has all the stuff that I have that we use in FFA. And then I have a page for hydroponics.
You might need to reshare or something. We're not,
She's got it. She just wasn't clicking it.
Sorry about that. And then I have a page for hydroponics. And then there's a page for Avid elective, and I have all my assignments there. And then my plan was a class I had, but there was not enough students, so it's not happening anymore, but. And then this is ASL, or American Sign Language. And then this is my page for Portuguese. And then this is my page for PE, and I have PE blogs, which I'm uploading some more videos. And then I have my English page, which has my English notes and my English practices. And then my page for math, which have my math notes and my math practices. And a page for health, which I have my health notes and my health practices. And that's my e-binder. It's really simple and it keeps everything organized. Are there any questions?
This is not a question, but I would ask if you could possibly talk a little bit about FFA, because I know that when you guys get it a little more established, you're actually going to come and present to the board for them to approve establishing a chapter at the school.
So FFA stands for Future Farmers of America, and it's a program that has to do with agriculture, but not just agriculture. It has to do with like food and science, and it's a really good program. And I've always wanted to be an FFA, and so my teacher and some other of my friends are putting together an FFA chapter so that we can start. And I show animals at the fair, so I could show under FFA.
Okay, thank you. So you guys will be seeing her again. Now, have you been elected an officer already?
Yeah, I'm gonna be the president.
The president, okay, so we'll definitely be seeing her again when she comes to present to the board to establish the chapter.
I have a question, and I'm pretty sure I know the excuse me, sweetie, the answer to this. Not everybody has a section that is Portuguese, is that correct?
Yeah, so my family is from Portugal,
Mhm.
and so my mom really wanted, I need to take a second language for high school. My mom and my dad really wanted me to take Portuguese, but ever since I was little, I always liked American Sign Language.
Uh-huh.
So we decided that I could take both, and if it ever got too much, I could just drop off of American Sign
There
Language.
you go. Good girl.
Yeah.
And are you
that's really
trying for the
suited.
seal of biliteracy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And do you, for you guys, if you don't know what the seal of biliteracy is, it's a really prestigious honor. If you earn the seal of biliteracy, it's a seal that goes on your diploma. And what it means is you are considered academically fluent in at least 2 languages. And by academically fluent, it's not just speaking, because a lot of people can speak it, but that doesn't mean that they have to also be able to read and write it on an academic level, both at least, 2 languages. Some people get seal of biliteracy in even 3 languages or 4 languages, but so, and it's a test, both oral and written. You have to answer questions, and it's a really prestigious award, and so that's something that she's trying for. And it'll be her senior year, I think, when she tests for it.
well,
Thank you for sharing.
go ahead, question?
No, I just said thank you for sharing. It looks like you're busy, but also your e-binder looks so organized. It makes me want to, I don't know, it's motivating.
I know, I thought the same thing.
I need one.
I know, when you said it makes it easier to find documents, I thought, wow, I never really thought about creating a e-binder like that for documents.
That's what Adam's all about.
Mhm, mhm.
So good for you. Look forward to seeing you again and presentation to us about the FFA chapter.
Mhm.
Perfect, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate your time.
Yes, good job.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. You were?
Well, 4 years.
That's cool.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that. And that was in Florida?
Mhm.
Nice.
Yeah.
Any comments
No, it was
about the presentation?
for me. Sorry. No, I was just stating that I was in FFA all 4 years in high school.
You were good.
Yep.
I won't expand on anything. I actually look forward to that. I think that's a wonderful thing, and she's absolutely correct. That it's not just about animals, it's
Mhm.
about a lot of other things. There's egg science. They do debates, parliamentary procedure, polypro. It's a lot of different things. So
Mhm.
that's good. All right. Moving on, consent agenda. 3.1, consideration of approval of warrants and payroll for Northern United Humboldt Charter School. 3.2, consideration of approval and warrants and payroll for Northern United Siskiyou Charter School, batches 0907, 0921, and 1005. 3.3, consideration of approval of minutes for the September 14 board meeting. 3.4, consideration of designations, hires, leaves, and change of assignment. 3.5, consideration of approval of Warren Williams uniform complaint quarterly report for NUHCS. 3.6, consideration of approval of Williams uniform complaint quarterly report for NUSCS. Are there any corrections, comments, adjustments to the consent agenda?
I have just one question, and it has to do with, excuse me, 3.4. Did Becky Greta return on the 3rd?
She did.
Okay.
All right, anything else? If not, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as posted.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Bianca,
Aye.
Melissa,
Aye.
Rosemary,
Aye.
Amy,
Aye.
I also approve. Motion carries. 3.2. Consideration of, excuse me. Um, remember when you were recovering from your covenant and you need to comment to me about, apologize, I mean, I may be experiencing it
Yeah.
after
Yeah,
during, so,
Blame it on the jet lag.
yes, public comments on items not on the agenda. So under this item, the public is invited to address the board regarding items that are not on today's agenda. Please keep your comments concise, brief, and limited to 3 minutes. The board is not allowed under the law to take action on matters that are not on the agenda. Should comments from the public pertain to a charge or complaint against an employee of Northern United Humboldt Charter School or Northern United Siskiyou Charter School, the board encourages the speaker to utilize the school's written complaint procedures to pursue the matter. The public will have an opportunity to comment on all agenda items as those are heard. Are there any comments? All right, hearing none. Action items to be considered. 5.1, update and approval of board member handbook. Sherry?
Want me to start? Okay.
Sure.
So, just to give a little bit of background, the board handbook was created, it was finalized in 2019. It's 11 pages. And what it was is we started with a template from California School Board Association, CSBA. And basically, the handbook is supposed to be a living document that the board comes up with that helps establish a couple things. One, the culture of the board, kind of the vision of the board, but then also procedures for things like, for example, what do you do if, as a board member, you want to add an item to the agenda? What is the procedure for that? What if, as a board member, you want to visit one of our facilities? What's the procedure for that? So in 2019, we finalized this in that we had a lot of conversations about procedures we thought would be important to include in the handbook. And we created the handbook, but we realized that we haven't taken a look at it in a while. It's, since it was created, we haven't gone back to it. And I think that would be a good idea to go back to it because there may be things now that either aren't applicable anymore or that we would want to change, or maybe even some procedures we would want to add. And I think that best practices would be that we review the board handbook annually. So, and not only would it stay up to date, but it would also give all the board members kind of a chance to renew or refresh themselves on what the procedures are. It would keep us all in the same place, kind of on the same playing field, everybody, with the same understanding. So anyway, that's why I put this on here. And when I put it on the agenda, I had a couple thoughts. First, I thought, well, I don't know that we want to go through the whole thing in one meeting. And so I kind of thought about potentially putting half of it on now and half next month. But I wasn't sure how long it would take us to go through it. And, I didn't know how many changes people would have in mind or anything. And so I went ahead and just agendized it for the whole thing, just in case, we could do the whole thing today. But I do feel like, as in interest of time, that if we start working on it and we feel like we wouldn't be able to get through all of it in one meeting, then we can stop at a reasonable, logical stopping point, and I can put this on again next month, kind of continue the process. So that's kind of the background. So you guys have it in your packet, and the beginning of it really starts on, I would say, page 3. The table of contents, I think, is the very beginning. So I think we can kind of pass through that. And it starts out with the definition of governance. School governance is the process of setting organizational policies and standards that are adopted by the board of directors and implemented by the school director in order to provide strategic direction and ensure that objectives are met, risks are managed appropriately, and resources are used responsibly in order to ensure success for all students. So that's kind of the definition of what governance is. And then it kind of gives like some components of that, broad components, kind of the three main goals of the governance team. And the governance team is the school director and the board together working as a team to govern the schools. So those main purposes are maintaining unity of purpose, agreeing on and governing within appropriate roles, creating and sustaining a positive governance culture, and creating a supportive structure for effective governance. That's 4, not 3. Anyway, so that was kind of the beginning, just almost like a preamble to what the purpose of this document is, what the purpose of governance is. But where I really want to start, though, is page, I guess is that page 4, where it starts unity of purpose, core beliefs, vision, mission, school-wide learner outcomes. I want to point out that the core beliefs, the vision, the mission, and the school-wide learner outcomes, those are the vision, mission, and the school-wide learner outcomes of our schools. That's what we've adopted as the school. But the very beginning part, that unity of purpose, that was actually something that was developed by the board at the time. The idea that we all are on the same page, what is our unity of purpose? And this is what was developed. So at the time, we said unity of purpose is a common focus, overarching goals, and the values and beliefs governance team members share about children, the schools and public education that help them transcend their individual differences to fulfill a greater purpose. And then it's our core beliefs, vision, mission, and school-wide learner outcomes. So I just want to stop there and kind of open it up for discussion on this page. And I just feel like we'll just take it kind of step by step, work our way through. And I'm just, I feel like this is just, I'll just facilitate a conversation on this. I didn't know if anybody had any input on this section, if there was anything in particular anybody wanted to discuss about this. Do we all still feel that this is kind of where we should be grounded, like that this should be kind of our foundation for which we make decisions and we move forward and all of that? This is kind of like, okay, if we all agree on these things and we make all our decisions based, on this kind of idea, we should have unity of purpose. We all would kind of agree on things if this is kind of where we're coming from. So anybody have any comments on any of this?
Are there any comments? Bianca?
Not particularly. I still like the unity of purpose that is here. When I read over it, there was nothing that stood out to me that did not resonate with me at this time. So no, I don't really have anything outstanding to add.
Okay,
this page.
Melissa? Any comments?
I feel like the core beliefs are really cool. It lays it out, how we see how we can help students. And I feel like in the unity of purpose, sometimes maybe values and beliefs aren't always the same, but that shouldn't hinder like our ability to work as a unit. So I guess it's kind of everyone's values and beliefs come together to govern in the best way that we can for the children. I don't know. I guess that's the only thing that kind of sticks out is since everybody's kind of individuals, we might not have always the same values and beliefs. And I'm not sure if that's what it's saying or not, but yeah, otherwise I really like it.
You know, I hear what you're saying, Melissa, and I kind of thought about that too. And I kind of interpreted that as the values and beliefs that are listed here. Like, do we all agree on these ones? Because you're right, we may have values and beliefs that are different on other topics, and we definitely would have differences on how we're going to approach things. But are the values and beliefs that are laid out here, like those core beliefs, the vision, the mission, can we all get behind these things?
Right. Yeah, that we share about the children. Yeah, actually,
Right.
it makes a lot of sense reading it. I kind of had to read it over and over. And
Yeah.
it's kind of slow to, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Rosemary?
Well, this is the first time that I've gone back to review this. And I must say, I think we did a really good job. And on this, I would stay with what we have.
Okay.
I really feel that this sums it up.
Thanks. Amy?
I think that, yeah, this says all the things, and I think I kind of took what Sherry said as the unity of purpose being literally for these things listed below, not. And I kind of just took the definition as a generic definition, like this is what a unity of purpose means. So, and according to that, like everything jives. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Good.
Jerry, did you have anything else to add on any of that, or did you feel like?
It's, I mean, in my humble opinion, this is what all boards are.
Yeah, it's kind of generic, really. It'd be hard to argue on
Right.
any of these
And
things. really.
because of, where it's being drawn from, it's, it's a universal concept. I mean, it's not unique to charter schools.
Yeah,
It's not unique to Humboldt or Siskiyou County. I mean, it's nationwide.
yeah.
And that's what we are here for and aspire to do. And as Sherry said, it's just human nature. Everybody has a different frame of reference and their own realities of how to get to yes. So it doesn't mean that that's a bad thing. And actually, people argue that it's a healthy thing in our democracy to have, differing opinions, and we get a better product in the end if it's not all the same. So no problem.
Great. Okay, look at that. We're moving right on. Next section. The next section starts governance roles and responsibility. I'm not sure what page it is in the packet, 5 or 6 or something, but, or not in the packet, but in the handbook itself. And this really just kind of spells out what the responsibility of the board is and kind of what the school director does. You know, this is just kind of on a personal note. I just think that I have the best board members ever, because when I talk to other school leaders, it seems that there is a common thing that can happen in boards. And I don't know if it's a matter of sometimes board members get on a board because they have a particular, like, I don't know if axe to grind, that sounds negative, but like a pet
agenda.
project or whatever. And not really sometimes knowing that what their particular, you know, agenda is, sometimes isn't even under the board's purview, but they don't know that. And so what I was gonna say is a lot of times when I talk to school leaders, you know, sometimes there are complaints about board members wanting to do things that it's really the, you know, the superintendent's role or whatever, that kind of thing. I'm coaching somebody right now that is definitely the issue, you know, board members coming on trying to fire people and just like, you know. And so I just want to say thank you, because I actually feel like this piece, I feel like our board this has always been a strength of the board members that we've had, is it's very clear whose role is what. You know, you guys hire me to like carry out the duties of like the day-to-day of the school, and you guys are like setting the policy and, you know, the vision and those kinds of things. And I feel like that has worked out really well. So thank you. But anyway, I don't know if you guys had anything in here that you would want to make a change on. I did notice one thing. I noticed the word superintendent was still in here in one place where we did change it to charter director on everything else. So that would just be one recommendation for me. It's the last sentence of the second paragraph, but.
That was literally the only thing.
Really?
Also that I caught.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I don't think that applies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Change that.
Any comments? Bianca?
Oh, no, I don't have any comments.
Okay. Melissa?
Mm-mm. It looks good.
Okay. Ms. Rosemary?
No, not on this, other than the change that Sherry pointed out.
And there's actually 2. It's in the last sentence of the last paragraph
Right.
as well. Okay.
Amy?
No.
No, and as far as what Sherry said, that she's absolutely correct. The board should not be micromanagers. You know, the board hires the director to carry out the day-to-day duties and is responsible for all of those things, responsible for the employees, etc. That's the hierarchy. And she's absolutely correct in that some boards have members come on to a board who have an agenda or an idea of something that they would like to do or think they can do, and they can make a directors or superintendents, it's a matter of semantics, make their life miserable. And Sherry knows that. She appreciates the fact that we're not or at least in my perception, that this board has never been micromanagers. And I think that's reflected in over the years, the evaluation that board members have done of our director, that it reflects that quite strongly. So no problems with this page,
All right.
except the 2 words.
Yeah, one other thing that I did want to point out that I think is important on this page, and I think we've talked about this before, but in like the middle of the second paragraph, it says authority is granted to the board as a whole, not each member individually. And that is one of those things that I think it's important to remember, that the power of the board is in the group and not any individual board member. And, you know, any individual board member can't make a decision. It has to be the majority of the board that makes a decision. And that, you know, I think that's another kind of important thing that this page points out.
Yeah, and that's a key concept, which you just stated, is the majority.
Yeah.
Not one individual, you know, over time, you know, members come and go, and we're in our infancy, compared to just about every, except for, you know, other possibly charter entities, who are relatively new, but in comparison to standard school boards that have been around for decades, you know, that's just that same concept. So.
Yeah. Okay, so I would for sure like to get through the next page, and then we'll do a time check and see if we want to move on to the next agenda item and put the rest on the next board meeting or whatever. But the next page is performing governance responsibilities. And this really is kind of a deeper dive into what the responsibilities of the school board are. It breaks it down a little bit more specifically into, I think it's, they say it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, 5 different sections, 5 categories that the board does: set the direction, establish an effective and efficient structure, provide support, ensure accountability, and act as community leaders. And then under those bullets, it kind of breaks that down. So hopefully you guys had a chance to look through all of that. I don't know if you found anything that either needed amending or that you want to discuss further or feel needs to be changed or anything.
I have an amendment.
Okay.
And 2 of them, 2 of them actually, under
Okay.
the second, to establish an effective, the first bullet, superintendent, and then down to ensure accountability, first bullet also has superintendent.
Yeah.
Funny how, you know, seeing it with fresh eyes, you see something like that and we didn't see it before. Okay. Anything else, Melissa, Bianca?
Those were the 2 typos that I saw. Otherwise, no, not for me.
Okay.
No modifications, but I just feel like it's such a good, clear, laid out page. It just, I love seeing like act as community leaders, specifically all those things of us working together to be the voice for our school's priorities and all that. And I feel like looking at this yearly is a really good reminder, like you were saying.
Good.
And I did have a question. Is this document a part of that like 300-page board
It is.
handbook?
Okay. It's the very beginning. So if you
I don't know if you
notice,
can see it.
if you
Wow,
notice
yeah.
in the packet, where this started was the table of contents. And at the end of that table of contents, there's a bunch of stuff listed, like the policy handbook and different stuff. Those were all links in this document. So that big binder that I gave you was actually this document with all those links printed out, all put into one binder. So the handbook itself is really only like 12 pages, but it has all these links at the end that when printed is a bunch of stuff.
Okay, I see.
Which are still important to understand where we came from and how we came to be. And what guides us on our journey forward.
So many helpful documents in there for sure.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool though also to see it condensed down like this into like
Yeah.
bite-sized chunks.
I know, I thought that too, because when you just get that big binder, it's kind of like, okay, what is all this? But then you realize the handbook is really little and the rest of
Like,
the binder is all these
we
links.
had a little panic attack thinking we were going through the whole
Right.
binder, and I'm like, oh no, this is just.
No, I know.
I'm like, what?
And so that's a really good segue, because what we just have gone through now, I feel like is a super good ending point if we wanted to, but if we wanted to continue, we could as well. But the reason why I think this is a good breaking point is because all of the stuff we've reviewed so far really was fairly generic. It was kind of straight from what the California School Board Association gave. What comes up next for the next few pages are the things that we actually developed. It's the protocols, and the protocols that we have in there right now are visiting learning centers, handling public or staff concerns, individual requests for action, and bringing up new ideas or agenda items. So at the time when we created this, we made 4 protocols, like this is the procedure for these 4 things. So I do feel like going through those things are going to take more time. And I have a feeling that we might want to add some protocols because we haven't added anything in a long time, and maybe we want to. And so maybe what we should even do is maybe every meeting on the agenda or something, maybe not every meeting, but when there is something, you know, like if we decide today that there are additional protocols we want to add, what we could do is put one on each agenda for a while and develop one at a time and just add them to the handbook as we develop them. Does that make sense? So just looking at this kind of the cover page of what's to come, all these protocols, knowing we have these 4 protocols in here already, I'd say we have a choice. We can start going through these protocols right now. If you guys had any additions or edits or anything to them, we could make them now. We could stop right now, do the protocols at the next meeting. We could, maybe what I should just do is ask, did any of you guys have any changes for any of the protocols in here?
I have one.
You do?
Mhm.
Okay. Was that Bianca?
It's under visiting learning centers.
Okay.
It's the second to last sentence. Announced should probably be unannounced. Somebody else wants to read that and make sure.
Second to last sentence.
Of what?
Under principles for visiting learning centers of the first paragraph.
Oh, yeah. The board respects the busy schedule of staff and the anxiety that can be created by well-meaning but announced. You're right. That's probably announced. But honestly, unannounced or an unannounced can make people scared.
For
Yeah,
sure.
That's true.
But then the next sentence is what makes me feel like it's supposed to be
Yeah.
in the following protocols.
I mean, we could even take out announce and just say visits.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good point.
indeed. It's up to the
Do you
board.
see? It's under visiting learning centers. See where it says principals?
Yep.
It's the last sentence in that paragraph before you get
Oh,
to the word
found it.
protocol.
But announced. So.
It's actually the second.
Oh,
last.
here we go.
Yeah.
Listeners,
Okay.
but announced. Yeah.
So thoughts on that? I can change it to unannounced. I can take out the announced.
That, I agree with you, Sherry, that maybe we're at a stopping point because now I think we're getting into
I
what
know.
I would call meat.
It is.
I
It
agree.
is.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that will give us
Well, how about this?
time.
What was that, Melissa?
That will give us time to kind of go over it a little bit deeper and see like, what do we think about that, ponder on those things. And then-
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, how about that? Not only that, but what about it as you're going through this, if you have thoughts for other protocol that you want to add to this, shoot me an email, let me know, and then, next month I'll give the list that everybody said of potential ones to
Right.
add. And then we can kind of map out where we want to go from there.
Mhm.
Okay, unless some people have something on their mind right
Exactly.
now that
Right.
could be brought up
That
and
we can
people
add.
could be, thinking of it. Bianca, Melissa, come to your mind?
No, honestly, I came today assuming that we would only do part of it and that this would be an ongoing process.
Work in progress.
That just, so the only thing that was really itching me was that typo, but I see that it could be more than a typo, for sure.
Okay. Okay.
And I would like to go back to, performing governance responsibilities, that very last section there, and the very last bullet. Advocate for children. That should always be, in my mind, our first priority.
Okay,
Um,
go ahead.
Amy?
I think that I would like more space and time to look at it at a slower pace than just jump into it today.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered, philosophical values and traditional, goals and objectives. But how do we get to that point? So, what are the day-to-day operations of the board to get to that point? And, since our last meeting, I received a crucial, constructive, opinion about, some of the things that have gone on. And I realized that upon reflection that some of the things that I've been speaking out about over the last many months, one of which was, a desire for us to get together to review this handbook. But in light of the fact that we couldn't come to an agreement to have all five of us come together on a date to meet in Siskiyou, this was the next best thing to do. So upon reflection, I realized that I can't be critical of actions that were not known about or realized was, standard operating procedure. So as we move forward, I believe, and if you take time and do some research and where some of this information came from that we utilized to put this book together. CSBA has a lot of valuable information. And one thing that I came across is a little section, new board member orientation, what every new board member needs to know. And I think this is part of a key thing that's been missing that I've observed with the same things keep reoccurring with and it's not a judgment one way or the other. It's just collectively, you know, we haven't thought about this, but that we need a new board member onboarding or orientation. And so so that they have that the board has, you know, the board has certain expectations, and then new members, you know, have to maneuver and figure out how they're going to, you know, fit into those expectations. And, you know, it can be outlined, you know, what those things are. And so I think that's one thing that needs to be added. If you look actually in the binder, in the sleeve, there's a sheet of paper, and it's from the school boards, California School Boards Association, and it says protocol topics to consider. And the very first one is orientation of school board candidates. And so that goes to prior to being selected to be on the board, so that everybody understands what the expectations are, the time commitment. You know, sometimes it's a massive amount of reviewing budgets and those things, especially if the person is new to school governance. So we can look at some kind of onboarding orientation for future new board members, which includes attendance, and if you go and look at the bylaws, excuse me, bylaws, there's no mention about an attendance requirement. And again, if you do the research of board of directors, you'll find many references to board attendance policies. You know,
And I plan on putting that on next month's agenda, the bylaws, just so you know.
so and then the National Charter School Resource Center, they have a handout, a toolkit for board members, and it covers, you know, lots of important things. So as we move forward in reviewing the handbook, I believe it's important to incorporate those items that I just mentioned, in addition to how the structure of the board functions, you know, the chain of command. And it's safe to say that it's just one of those things. Sherry and I have professional differences of opinion, and that's not a bad thing. You know, based on her background and experiences, we don't always see things through the same lens, but we do see the same thing at the end. And, you know, that's what's best for students. You know, that we agree upon, but it's some of the mechanics of, you know, how to get to that point, that are just differences of opinion. We all have differences of opinion. You know, we just have to work through trying to get to the yes. So that'll be another thing to think about in amending the bylaws. Have a discussion about should we, and then, you know, how to set, you know, some parameters on that. So anyway, Sherry knows very well that we can't consume an entire board meeting or and hours trying to deal with this, where in the past, to get to this document that's here, we spent a lot of time, and we met collectively together and hashed all this out, and you know, amended the bylaws, and you've heard me reference, you know, trying to find the best wording for something, because that's all really important. And I always give credit where credit's due. You know, we've come up with it just didn't read right. It was, it sounded wonky, it read wonky.
We became masters of wordsmithing.
Right, and so credit goes to Bianca for, you know, being wonky. So anyway, we will continue with this, and the decision was, because if, you know, there, especially if it involves amending bylaws, that's going to require action, and so by putting it on the agenda as an action item would allow for that. Doesn't mean that by virtue of it being on the agenda under an action item that we have to take to do anything. That's not the point.
Well, I was gonna ask though, do we want to make a motion to amend the things we've already just discussed? The changing the superintendent to director, you know, to adopt changes, or do we want to wait until we're finished with the whole thing and then just approve it at the end?
Well, because we don't know what lies ahead. Since it's fresh in our mind, we could easily have somebody make a motion to change superintendent to director in those instances.
So far, that's the only thing we've changed. I mean, you know, the other way to look at that is maybe that
That's
doesn't even need to, like, that's almost more cleanup. I don't know.
Which, what do you think, Rosemary?
In the past, Linda has referred to it as formatting updates.
What do you feel?
Can we
Most
piece
comfortable.
this out?
Well,
The way it's listed here?
yeah, I mean, I think we could just say that we're going to, you know, amend it with the amendments that we came up with today or whatever, you know, that was not worded well, but I don't even think we have to do that even. I think we just,
Okay,
I don't think there's any reason to take any action, right?
Okay.
I do see that stuff as just as cleanup, and, you know, just so you guys know, I made the changes already on the original document as we were going, so it's not like we're gonna forget and not put those in. I already did those, so.
Good for you. All right, anything further to say on 5.1?
Sherry, I was wondering if you wanted to change, you know how it says the 3 dimensions and then there was 4 things noted? I don't know if you wanted to make
So
a change
I'm
on
not
that.
making that up. I did see 3.
Yeah.
Right?
It says there are 3 dimensions to the effective governance of any organization. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I know.
So just so you
yes,
know
I
for
do wanna
maybe
change
your
that. Thank
cleanup.
you for saying that. After I had said 3 and then read 4, I thought, well, maybe I didn't even really see 3. Maybe I just put that in there in my brain, but no, thank you. I do want to change that.
That's all from me.
Okay, thanks.
So how do you want the minutes to reflect this decision? If they're.
Well, yeah, no, make no action.
No action taken.
Okay.
Good. All right, 5.2, approval of the 2022-2023 annual goals plan.
Okay, you have the plan included, so you guys remember that we adopted the goals already, that was in September, and so this month I brought to you the plan to carry out those goals. Very similar to last year, since our goals are the same. There are a few changes that we decided to make this year, or, there's just a couple different things happening. For example, I don't know, I'm just thinking of some differences from what was in the plan last year. This year, we decided to, you guys remember that we give a local assessment, it's called Renaissance Star, and it's in reading and in math. And we give it, in the past, we've been doing it 3 times a year. Fall, a winter, and a spring assessment. The fall one, or administration, the fall one is the baseline, and that helps us determine which of our students is going to get some interventions, like tutoring.
Can I interrupt?
Yeah.
Didn't we on the consent, or not consent agenda, but on the adopting the agenda, move 5.2 to 5.6?
No, 5.5 and 5.6 are what
Okay.
swapped.
Thank you.
Yeah. But anyway, so now this year we've decided to change that process. Instead of doing the 3 assessments, we're basing the number of assessments on the student's needs. So for example, if a student takes the assessment the first time and scores above grade level, there's not really another reason to test them 2 more times. That seems excessive. They're already where they needed to be. So we change it from 3 to 2 for those students who were already meeting or exceeding where they were supposed to be, like the standards. For those who have not met the standards, that we will continue to test them more, because they get tested to make sure the interventions we're using are working. So I don't know if that was clear or not. That was maybe kind of mumbo jumbo, but that is one of the changes that we made. Another change is in goal number 2, which is like the social emotional goal. There are now some groups being offered. We always hoped there would be on the Siskiyou side, but we have had a hard time either with whoever we contracted with doing it, like they didn't have enough counselors or different things like that. Now, actually, some group work is happening on Siskiyou, and that actually, I think, the first one was either last week or this week. I can't remember now. Kirk can chime in if he wants about when that happened, but we also added our clubs. We have some clubs happening, and we put those in there. That was something that was a little bit new. I'm trying to think, what were some of the other new things? Oh, I know, in the last one, in the 3rd goal, which is kind of like the one that's promoting our school, like in the broader community and within our, own staff and parents and stuff. We have decided this year to kind of unveil our mascots a little more. We've had mascots since we started our school. I don't think anybody can, other than like, maybe the admin team knows what they are. But so we've decided to kind of start a campaign of getting our mascots out there. So anyway, those are just some new things that we've added in to try to meet these goals. So this is the plan. I don't know if you guys have any questions or not, but I'm recommending approving the plan.
Any questions or comments?
I love it.
Oh,
I think
thank
it's
you.
great.
Any other?
I just like seeing how we are evolving.
It's nice that you can see that. It's funny, I think I might be too close to it to see the progression, you know?
Yeah, and it's, it's just. I saw a report this morning that, I can't remember the percentage of students. Maybe like 70% of students are, it's in relationship to ACT testing. That are, not meeting their benchmarks, and it's as a result of the pandemic. And it's really worldwide. And so it's been really great to see our governor give money for different programs, and so it's just all part of this bigger movement and effort, and we're taking advantage of it, and going full steam ahead. And again, it's all about the students, the focus. So that's good. That's really good point.
Good. All right.
All right, so is there a motion?
I'll
make a
motion to approve the 2022 to 23 annual goals plan.
There's a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Bianca,
Aye, excuse me.
Melissa,
Aye.
Rosemary,
I,
Amy,
Aye.
I approve also. Motion carries. All right. Approval of the surplus items list from Northern United Humboldt Charter School. Sherry,
So, you guys have seen this. Sometimes we go through our materials, curriculum, things like that, and do what we refer to as surplusing. We weed out the things that are either out of date or, I don't know, maybe that's broken. There's various reasons why we discard things. And there is a process for it because we are purchasing things with taxpayer dollars. So because of that, the first step is having the board approve surplusing these items. And once that is done, we do a little posting of, like basically it's like an auction kind of, if anybody wanted to buy these things, and that's in an effort to recoup taxpayer dollars if need be. I have to say, I think everything on this list is all like curriculum or books and very outdated and old. So I don't anticipate anybody's going to want to purchase any of these things. And so if nobody does, once we've finished that process, we have to have it posted for a certain time period and all of that. Once that's all done, we can actually dispose of it. Usually what we do is we put it in a box for a free pile here for anybody to take, students, parents, whatever, teachers, and then, whatever it ends up being left after a certain period of time, we do dispose of it, recycle it.
thank you.
Yep.
Any questions or comments?
I have none.
Okay, I mean, this is a perfect example of the board looking to the director for a recommendation. And it's just what she does. And we either, in most cases, and we follow her recommendation. So Is there a motion?
I'll motion to approve the surplus.
Y'all are frozen. I don't know where we're at.
No, we can hear them. Can you hear us?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay. Froze
You
for a
hear
little
us?
while.
Can
Yes.
you hear
now we
us? It
do.
was moved, it was moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Bianca,
Aye.
Melissa,
Aye.
Rosemary,
I,
Amy.
Aye.
I also approve. Motion carries. 5.4, approval of the California Safe Schools Plan. CSSP for Northern United Charter Schools.
So in case you think you're having deja vu, that you actually did approve this in, I believe, March. But the California Safe Schools Plan is kind of unusual what happens, the time frame. You're required to have it adopted by this time, like by October 15th or something like that. And normally we do it at the end of the school year, like March, for the next year. But I feel like this year in particular, there were a lot of changes. You guys remember that Julie Smith retired, and she was our safety coordinator for the school. And that was only one example of a staff member in here that needed to be updated, but there were a lot of things. Willow Creek, we now only have one of the facilities, not both. You know, there were just a lot of things that I felt like, I think it's best for us to have the Safe Schools Plan as up to date as possible at the beginning of the year, to have it up to date all year, versus making sure it's up to date at the end of the, you know, like March for the next year, because so many changes happen over the summer and stuff. And so I am gonna kind of flip-flop what we've been doing and start having it adopted at the beginning of the year now because of that. So that's why it might seem like we just did this. Well, we did, but we updated the stuff in it since then. And then the other thing about this, you might remember, is with the way, because the way our school is with all the multiple facilities everywhere, we have the required things that have to be in a Safe Schools Plan kind of in the beginning of it. And then at the end, we have links for each individual learning center. And that's like the real stuff, like what would happen at that specific learning center. That part, I think I'm saying this right. I hope. I should look and check before I say this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I think that part, we did not on purpose make those links live for this board packet, because you don't want what your protocols are going to be, if, say, for an active shooter or something, to be a public document. And so, you know, like, because there are things, they're like code words and things like, you know, and so that part in here, we purposely don't have those links live. So you didn't see necessarily the individual learning center pieces. We just put in the like main part that's more generic.
You said that before.
Okay.
When we reviewing.
Right.
That there are certain things that, we just don't want the general public
Exactly.
to
Right.
know, so to
Right.
speak.
Yeah. So I wanted to point that out too, but so anyway, that's why it's here again.
Any questions or comments?
Well, I think that kind of addresses one of my questions, like reading over the broad ingress egress section where it talks about folks coming in to the learning sites to check in. I know that process, as it's written, isn't possible for all of the sites that we have throughout the school. And so I didn't know what I was going to ask or suggest, do we change that? Do we make it specific? But now I'm hearing that perhaps that portion is in the individual.
You know, that, yeah, I wonder if I should just take it out of this general part altogether, because you're right. I mean, there'd be no way to have a one size fits all, how you're gonna enter the building for
Oh,
all of
sure.
our facilities.
Structurally,
Yeah,
the same.
right. Yeah,
I mean, that's,
So. Go ahead.
that's a good point, Bianca. Because, I mean, what strikes me is, just an example of, a standard kind of a statement, that, you know, some firm or attorney office, puts together.
Mhm.
And their frame of reference, you know, is a traditional type, school building.
Mhm.
Where access to anything, in a sense, you go in the front door and the office is just right there. And
Yeah.
you can't get
Right.
by there, without somebody noticing you're a stranger, to that campus.
Right.
So that part, it starts on page 33, I think. 30, no, it's on, it's like maybe 35 or so.
What's that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that I will just take that section out of this main part, because you're right, it's.
I do like the very beginning of it, right? Because it's talking about, it's broad enough, that first paragraph is broad enough and inclusive in the way that we're going to review it. We're going to include all the stakeholders to make sure, but beyond that, as it gets into protocols, it does not, in my opinion, make sense for the whole
Yeah,
school.
the procedures, those bulleted procedures,
Yeah,
yeah, I agree. Okay.
that would be my suggestion.
Okay, I'm gonna make a little comment on that. Because I think instead of just deleting it, what I'm gonna do is give the go back to the learning centers and ask them to put their specific protocol in their individual part. Does that make sense? And take it out of this part.
Yeah,
Okay.
Good, Bianca. Thank you.
of course.
Is there anything else? I agree with Sherry that the board should do this at the beginning of the school year, because to always know this up front for the school year is much better than at the end. So, I thank Sherry for, bringing that up.
If I can make one comment or request, it would be to be more specific, not to have this at the beginning of the school year. Excuse me, but in August.
Yeah,
At our
that would
first-
be the idea.
Very first meeting.
Is that possible?
I think so. You know, it's interesting because part of what the statute is about the comprehensive safe schools plan is it first, there's a deadline which is March, which is why we usually have done it in March. There's a deadline in March for your advisory group, whether that's your school site council or safety committee or something like that, to get feedback.
Mhm.
And then by October, it has to be the board. You know, that's what it says in statute. And so I feel like it would be hard maybe to have this in August, because I don't know that we would then have the feedback from the advisory group before we brought it to the board. Because they're not meeting in August. In fact, like you probably saw, I just put a call out for more parents for that. I don't know if you saw it or not, but I don't know, it might not be till October if we follow that path, because September would be when like the school site council would get to look at it. But that's the thing, that's what's so kind of odd about this is, like I said, the advice has to be in by March from the previous year, you know, like,
Right,
but it's like, it's not really up to date yet.
no,
They're approving, you know, something that's probably gonna be changed before it comes to the board. So I don't know, we could still do it that way, I guess, like have the advisory approve how it was. And then, you know, have you guys do it in August. That would be fine.
with maybe, amendments if needed.
Back to the advisory,
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah, okay. All right, well, we will shoot for August.
There we go, and if it happens, it happens, if it doesn't, it
Yep,
doesn't.
yeah.
Okay, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the California Safe School Plan for NU charters.
Yeah, I think that's supposed to be comprehensive safe school, not California.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, but that's.
Yeah, it's a comprehensive safe schools plan.
Now, is that,
Sherry, does that need to be with the amendment of that portion that you and Bianca talked
Yeah.
about
Wait a minute.
changing?
Yeah, she just remembered and amended her motion to include the amendments.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you both, girl. Thank you.
is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Bianca,
Aye.
Melissa,
Aye.
Rosemary,
Aye.
Amy?
Aye.
I also approve. Motion carries. Did we change the numbers?
Yeah, no, we just swapped those.
Yeah.
The new 5.5 is approval of the non-publics.
Yeah, so approval of the non-public school.
Devereaux.
Yeah, Devereaux, Florida master contract for special education services. Sherry.
So we've talked about this before. You guys probably remember that when we have a student who we are unable to meet their needs that are in their IEP so that they can access their education, we are obligated to provide what they need. And so sometimes that means contracting with the county office for them to provide, for example, occupational therapy or something like that, but it varies from student to student. Currently, we do have a student who we are contracting with this organization, Devereaux, in order for that student's needs to be, in order for them to meet their access to education in the appropriate setting. We're contracting with this entity. So I included the contract in there in your board packet. And I put fiscal implication to be determined. I believe in the contract, there was an estimate, or maybe
Well, it showed,
it showed how much it was per hour per service, like related service, like $200 an hour for,
right,
behavioral support or family counseling or things like that. Yeah,
I didn't. I
there
thought
wasn't a
about-
total. Yeah,
no,
you're right.
But calculate, but it's huge.
Right, because it also had the daily rate for like room and board as well.
Right. 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 Um. I don't know if, this all goes back to an issue that we had to deal with before. This is and special education, IEP issue. I don't believe Amy was with us when we dealt with that. I don't recall if you were with us then, Melissa, or not.
I'm not sure.
Okay. It's, our hands are tied. It's the law. So I know it seems really odd. Here it is far away, we just can't. And we tried our best initially, but now it's out of our hands and we have to pay for it. So it's just one of those things. Just
So I'm asking for approval as the action on this item.
so is there a motion?
I have a question.
Oh,
No
sure.
question? Yes.
Sorry, I wasn't present last month, so maybe this was already answered. Where's my question? Did our lawyer look over this contract? Anybody from Young Mini Corps?
No.
Is this pretty
No.
standard?
It is pretty standard. But just so you know, when these placements are made, it is the SELPA who helps us with it. They're the ones that find the placement.
Yeah.
They are the ones that first visit the facility. They don't place any students in any facilities that they don't themselves visit first.
Okay,
They are the ones that develop the MOU. So it's actually their attorneys that created it. And that is, they use school and college legal services.
right. Okay. Thank you.
That's a good question.
For clarification,
Mhm.
can you tell us what SELPA stands for?
SELPA. I don't know if I could tell you what SELPA, I know it's something local plan. Special
Education, local
plan.
planning area or
Yeah.
something?
Yeah.
And, but what the SELPA is the state is divided up into regions when it comes to special education. And each region is governed by what is referred to as a SELPA, which is basically an entity that helps oversee special ed in that area. And it's really a funding model in that all special ed funds from the state or the federal government actually go directly to the SELPA. And then the SELPA, based on how the SELPA, that individual SELPA's policy council decides, distributes that money in certain ways. How the Humboldt Del Norte SELPA, which is where Northern United Humboldt Charter is part of, and the Siskiyou SELPA, which Siskiyou Charter School is part of, how they do their structuring is very different. But this one in particular, it's the Humboldt Del Norte SELPA, and they are very active in the process of these residential treatment centers. And in fact, the SELPA Policy Council has voted a funding model in which the SELPA assists schools on the financial piece of this. They reimburse a certain percentage based on the size of your school. So, because you can imagine, you know, that if a very, very, very small school with a very small budget had a student that was placed in one of these, that it could definitely bankrupt the school. So the self-assist on that based on the size of the school. So we do get reimbursed for a pretty substantial percentage on some of it. They don't reimburse at all on like the educational piece, but they do on the service related pieces.
Thank you.
Okay, so is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the non-public school Devereaux, Florida master contract for special education services.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Bianca,
Aye.
Melissa,
Aye.
Rosemary,
Aye.
Amy,
Aye.
that's approved. Motion carries. So
We have it and I've emailed it all to you. We've got it all.
I can't access it. I don't have the Wi-Fi on here, and my phone's in the car.
Oh, you don't have Wi-Fi on your,
Yeah, I do, but it's.
want me to tell you the password?
Anyway,
I hate to do this. I have to go to the hospital for a last rite ceremony right now. I didn't realize they would call so soon.
I'm sorry.
So I thought it would be 8 o'clock, but they have family there now, so I'm going to go. I apologize profusely. Cannot be avoided.
I hope everything's okay. And this is your job related, right?
Yeah.
Not you, okay.
I'm on call this week, so that's why I couldn't go anywhere this week anyway, so.
All right,
Thank you.
bye.
Bye, Amy.
So I emailed you 2 different things. One was the unaudited actuals, and then followed up with a second email that was the budget transfer piece with the resolution. And Kirk, I sent you a text, I think, I don't know if you saw it. I asked if you could print off that resolution. So, because it does require Bianca's signature.
need the password.
Okay, it's not the office, is the Wi-Fi you want.
It's the budget transfer resolution, yes.
It's Crimson and Clover, both capital C's, and an ampersand as the end in no space. Maybe I should have muted before I said that.
And it's mine.
Oops.
No space, both capital.
More code words too.
Yeah. Yeah.
What comes after Clover?
That's all.
Hmm? I know this is not
So sorry.
standard operating procedure, but I hope this doesn't happen again because realistically, this is not the way to.
This is a big document to. look
I
at.
know. Well, let me just give the background. You guys remember we adopted the unaudited actuals for Humboldt last month, I think it was. And what the unaudited actuals is the closeout of last fiscal year. So what they do is they go through all of our actual expenditures and our actual revenue, and they update the budget with those actuals. So you guys know when we create a budget, it's a guess how much money we're going to get. It's an educated guess, but we don't really know. And then same with it's a guess on our expenditures. We budget what we think we're going to spend. Well, now last year is over. That fiscal year has ended. So now the county office is able to go through and replace what our guesses were with actuals. So our actual revenue is put in there, our actual expenditures are put in there, and this is the end. This is how the year ended. And It's called unaudited actuals because the auditor hasn't looked at it yet. Though the auditor was here today, our audit started today. And I have already, since I've gotten this, forwarded it to him as well. He said, thank you. He's gonna start working on those tomorrow. So it will be audited soon. And you'll get the audit report, and the audit report later on, once that is completed, will tell you if any adjustments had to be made from this document that we're looking at right now, based on what the auditor discovered or found or whatever. So, anyway, like I said, this document is just how the year ended last year. So it's not anything that, I don't know, to be honest, there's nothing we could do to change this. This is done. It's done. The books are closed on this. And so, the approval of it is kind of a formality, So, and then the other part, that resolution behind that is, along with that resolution are all the things that when they went through and did all their final cleanup, anything that had to be adjusted that the county office found. And then, like I said, the auditor will look through it and do additional cleanup, but that's what goes along with that resolution. And you guys remember that Siskiyou County requires board approval for those budget transfers to happen. That's what that resolution is all about. So I don't know. I know it is a long document to be getting in the 11th hour, but I am recommending approving it as well as approving the budget transfers.
And as you said, it is what it is right now.
It is, and we contract with Siskiyou County to do this for us. So
We don't have any choice, and it's basically a legal document. We have to sign the resolution, and it is what it is. We can't change any of the figures. And our only choice is to say no, which would not be wise.
the only
Regardless.
the other choice would be
There's no
to
option.
table it and wait till next month so that you'd have a time to look through it. But we couldn't wait till next month because it is required to be completed. And so, we would risk not meeting the state's deadline if we did that.
Okay. Any comment?
I think Tammy had her hand raised over there.
Oh, sorry.
Even though it is final, the auditor does come back, and if he does find something in there.
Oh, sure.
We will.
Yeah.
Bianca and Melissa, did you hear Tammy's comment?
No,
She mentioned that there could be changes, but that only occurs when the auditor reviews it. And just like in the past, we get the auditor's report, and if they find anything incorrect, then they bring it to our attention, and then we correct it. That's the only caveat to that, but for right now, we don't have a choice. All right, so is there a motion?
I'll make them, go ahead.
No, Rosemary started.
Okay, I'll finish. I make a motion to approve Siskiyou unaudited actuals and
The resolution.
the resolution that goes with that.
Thank you.
I will second that.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Bianca,
Aye.
Melissa,
Aye.
Rosemary,
Aye.
and I also approve. Motion carries. So in the resolution, you've got the four and.
And I think
Amy
Kurt
absent.
printed it and is filling it out and getting Bianca to sign it.
Okay. Discussion items.
I'm sorry.
I got it.
You, never mind.
Discussion. Item 6.1. Discuss the NUCS, Naloxone, how do you pronounce that?
Naloxone.
Naloxone distribution project.
Awesome.
It's interesting, I see in the background page, I stopped mid-sentence, I must have gotten distracted. So I just wanted to get some guidance from you guys on this. It's interesting because Siskiyou County has actually been doing this for a little while. In 2017, a law was passed that allows schools to have this medication on hand. And it's kind of a standing prescription, very much like EpiPens are. But the purpose of this is to keep somebody from overdosing who has taken an opioid. And like I said, Siskiyou County has been doing this for a long time. The schools are part of this program. They've been doing it. Humboldt has never really discussed it a lot until this year. Last month, I think, at the Superintendent Charter Leaders Forum that the county office puts on, the county superintendent invited our new Humboldt County public health doctor that took over after Dr. whoever it was that left. Anyway, the new person came in and spoke to us about this, and she is really pushing this hard, rightly so. She was very passionate about it. She went through the statistics on it. And I'm not going to be saying these right, so do not quote me on these numbers, but you'll get the gist of what it was. She talked about, she gave the statistics for how many people die of, what is EpiPens for? What's that, when you can't breathe? Anaphylaxis, yeah, anaphylaxis. She gave the statistics for how many people in the United States die of anaphylaxis a year, and it's like 1,000 in the whole country. And then she said, in Humboldt County, we've had more deaths from ODs of opioids in a month, just in Humboldt County. And so she finds it so interesting that the law requires schools to have the EpiPens in schools, even though it is so rare for that to be an issue, but they're not requiring us to have this medication. Though we're allowed to, we can, it's just not required like EpiPens are. And so she really wanted us to think about that and the idea that this could really save lives. And there's a whole process for it. Very much like EpiPens, staff are trained every year in administering it. We have to keep a sign-in sheet of everyone who was trained. We have to keep the standing doctor's orders. You know, there's a lot of protocol around it. This is very similar. One of the differences with this, though, is it does require a board policy to have this on hand. And so we had never done it in Siskiyou or Humboldt. And so I just wanted to bring it to you guys today. I gave you all kinds of information in there, like kind of an FAQ about it, just kind of general information. I think I even put in there the sample policy, the sample board policy, if that's something we're interested in, if you do want me to go forward. But right now, before I brought you a policy and started down this path and having the staff train, I just wanted some direction. Is this something that you guys would be interested in our schools doing? And so it's for, correct me if I'm wrong, because you guys probably read the FAQs more recently than I did. I think it's sixth grade and up, if like any of your facilities have, it's like for older students, maybe it's 7th through 12th. Any of your facilities with older kids having this on hand. And it's not just for students. If a parent came on campus and then OD'd, a staff member, and this would be anybody we could use, we could administer the medication. And the way that the doctor described it is, it's actually not, well, I don't know if this is the right word, but it's not a medication in the way that we think of it as being a medication. It is actually a blocker. It blocks the opioid, whatever, from the receptor cells of the brain. She said what happens with an opioid overdose is that and this is what I started writing in the background sheets that I kind of stopped writing. She said, what happens is the opioid, the drug goes to receptors in the brain and actually like slows things down. And it basically, when you OD, it is because the opioids have told the receptors in the brain to stop breathing. So you actually die by not breathing is what happens. This medication wraps around the opioid and blocks it from going to the receptors. So she said it's something that is 100% safe for anybody, no matter what, even if you were not taking, even if you had no opioids in your system and you took this medication, it would do absolutely nothing because there is nothing to block. There's nothing there. And so she described it as it's not like actually something that can hurt anybody at any time. So there's no wrong time to give it. There's unlike EpiPens, you can't, it actually does something to you, it speeds you up. But this doesn't do anything to you. But anyway, so I just wanted to put that out there and I'm just asking for direction. Do you want me to pursue this? Do you think this is a good idea? If so, I would bring the policy back to you next month. We would adopt the policy, then I'd get staff trained. Once we have everything in place, then we would be able to have the medication like stored just like we do the EpiPens.
I have a question.
Okay.
We have the EpiPen.
Yep.
Which is the.
Yep.
We have the heart thing.
Yes.
We still have the heart thing.
AED.
How is this administered?
It is a spray, a nasal spray.
Yeah.
Got it, okay.
Yeah, and 2 come in a box and it's super easy to do, you just spray it in there. And here's the interesting thing, how I told you that when you OD on opioids, you stop breathing? Well, so if the person is like far enough gone, they're not even really getting enough breath to get that into their circulation. And so there's kind of a situation for that too. But anyway, it's a nasal spray.
I have with the EpiPen, they expire. Does this stuff expire?
Sure, there's an expiration date on them. Yeah, I'm sure there is. But it's given to schools for free too. There's no cost to this. I should add that. Just like the EpiPens, there's no cost for us.
Any questions or comments? Bianca, Melissa?
Yeah, so I actually feel like it's probably really a great idea to have it. Personally, my concern is like really young people. So I'm kind of interested in that you were mentioning that the protocol or policy is for like teenage and up kind of. I wonder, is that just who they give these to, or is there a way, because one of my concerns with this is like these kids just getting a hold of someone's medications,
Yeah, definitely. I will look into that because I'm not sure. I don't know that it's that you can't have it at facilities with younger age students. And a lot of our facilities are mixed age students.
Yeah.
Like this facility, for example, we have TK through 12th grade where I am right now. Same with the facilities in Wairika and same with Alder Street. And so almost all of our facilities would have it no matter what. Pine Grove is one that would be questionable, and Bryceland. Those are the 2 that don't have middle school or up. But there are adults there, there are parents there, there are siblings that could come in, so I'll find out if we're allowed to have it at facilities with younger kids or not. And you're right, a younger kid could do it, and you can administer this. They said you can administer it to babies, you can administer it to pregnant women. It's because of what it is, because it's a receptive blocker and not like a medication. Which maybe medication is not the right word, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, they said you can give it to anybody. So it's not like it would even hurt a 1-month-old if they have it.
So I see us coming up with a medical team, so to speak. and I know this is voluntary, uh, to the person that, or the team or the group, but do you see the same people that administer and been trained with the EpiPen and the heart doodad to be part of this as well?
We
As
train
a
everyone
medical
for EpiPen. We don't,
across the board?
we do.
Okay.
We do. And then the AED,
Uh-huh.
you know, that training is included now. It's a mandatory part of the training of CPR. And so all of our teachers, you know, that have to be trained in that. So the AED is included, but almost all of our staff, you know, does that anyway, but we do everybody with EpiPen.
And I'm assuming that the EpiPen are locked up.
No, they're actually not
They're
locked
not
up.
locked.
And they're not recommended to be locked
Yeah,
up because
I get
it takes too much time to
To
unlock it. But
Okay,
we do have these like special boxes that we keep them in. And they are, and it's like labeled, so
Uh-huh.
if somebody needs it, you know where it is. In fact, we have
anybody
a
can
sign.
go. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah,
You'd be able to wander around there and see the box on the wall somewhere.
yeah, it's in there.
Any other questions or comments?
So I'm just basically asking if you guys feel like it's a good idea. So, you know, I mean, this isn't an action item, it's a discussion. So I think maybe just like a straw poll kind of thing, like yes or no, should I, is anybody opposed?
Well, I would say that, why not? We have nothing to lose, only everything to gain. And looking at the document here, I don't, I don't see an age specification. And so that wouldn't preclude us from any age. And I know from, well, no, I don't know from personal experience. That's not what I mean. But our medical group that I was a part of, they began to years ago have these, with them, and they absolutely work.
You know, one of the things that I included in the packet was the ed code that allows schools to have it. And it clearly says right there, each public and private elementary and secondary school in the state
Yeah.
may designate one. So
Yeah.
I think we can do it, and
No, it's a good thing, especially with the opioid crisis that we have.
right, in both our counties.
Oh, yeah, I mean, period, everywhere. And it's not limited to just students, but you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. It could be anybody on the campus that would be
That's
a
right.
staff individual, a parent,
Mhm.
volunteer.
Yeah,
You just never know because it's so pervasive, unfortunately, nowadays, this epidemic.
okay, well, it sounds
so-
like kind of consensus, I think.
So do we have a consensus here?
Yeah.
Is anybody objecting?
No.
No objections? So we'll allow Sherry to pursue it and bring it
Policy next month.
back to us and that. Okay, very good. Reports. Enrollment and attendance report, 7.1. You can see it in your packet. And
I appreciated the 2 years.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. Good,
thank
yeah.
you for incorporating. that.
Linda,
Thank you.
Thanks, Linda. Any comments? Or questions?
It's nice to see some of our numbers up.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, it's. I think it just helps us wrap our heads around, what's going on and see, from year to year and, oh, that's why Willow Creek Learning Center's down because, you want the facility and that, so. That's a good thing. Any comments? Other comments? 7.2 financial report for both Siskiyou and Humboldt. We can see all that, all those numbers in your packet. Any comment, questions? Nope. 7.3, Northern United Humboldt Charter School Report. And again, it's in our packet. You can see, descriptions and pictures. Really, really well done. Any comments or questions?
I just have a comment. The pictures are getting much clearer than what we started with the black and white, the photocopy and whatnot, to now these nice color pictures. Way to go, Rebecca. Thank you, Kirk, for leading the way on this.
Yeah, and it's nice to see the cross-country
Mhm.
team member photos. So, any comment? Job well done. Thank you. 7.4, Northern United Siskiyou Charter School Report. And again, you can see that in your packet with all the wonderful illustrative pictures and description. Any comments?
I'm
I would-
excited about the tulip bulb fundraiser.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that's what I want to ask about, Kurt. Where are they over here? I mean. we're
Mail
doing
them
the-
some.
at
Aren't
our
there,
place.
isn't there
I
a
would
whole
buy-
bunch of tulips up north of you on the coast up there somewhere, like almost to the Oregon border? Big tulip farms up there, don't
Yeah,
they?
there's, there are tulip farms around. There were some also in McKinleyville once upon a time. But you're not giving Sherry any of them to bring down here to,
Hmm. Are you giving
let
Sherry? I need to bring
a
some.
bag?
What's that?
He asked if you're giving Sherry, I need to bring some.
Yeah, I would like to buy
I'll be there Monday.
something. Okay,
I'll have to find out. I don't know much about it, if we have them yet even. but
Okay.
If
well,
we do,
let's
we'll
hope
send
that
some
you have
over.
them.
Okay.
Hope by Monday when Sherry's there.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments? All right, 7.5, director's report.
Okay. Well, so for those of you who are here and came into the parking lot, you probably smelled gas. And it's because one of our school vans was vandalized this week. Someone went under it and cut the gas line and cycled the gas out. And they obviously had no clue what they were doing because they spilled all the gas. There's no way that they could have gotten in. There was so much gas and it still smells out there very strongly, even though like we put a couple things of kitty litter down on it and stuff. That's a bummer. And so it, as well as the other vans, are all going into the shop on Tuesday for that one to be repaired, but all of them to have what they did. You might remember this happened a few years ago. And on that one, we went ahead and did for that one, like a safety kind of thing. And I don't remember now if it's like changing the gas line itself where they cut it into a metal gas line so they don't cut it, or if it was putting a cage over something. It's an anti-theft thing, right? But I don't know if it's a cage or whatever they did to that one. We're gonna go ahead and have it done to all of them this time. So that's happening on Tuesday. And just a real bummer. We made a police report and everything and notified our insurance
Can I
company.
ask this question?
Sure.
Are they housed here all of the time or over at the
One is at ELC all the time, the other three are here.
okay.
And
ELC has the gate.
yeah, but we need it every day to pick up lunches. you know, we need them all the time for things, so. I know, you know, there, the USGS has the gate, where is it? That side, yeah. For their vehicles, it'd be nice if we could have one for ours too, but.
And was there any damage to the parking lot with all of that gas?
Not that I'm aware of, but time will tell.
Yeah.
They did try to get into the van and were unable to, you know, but. Anyway, so that was unfortunate, but I wanted to let you know about that. I also wanted to update you on the time standard super student situation. Guess what? They don't do it anymore. The person who, Lacey has called them so many times because it took her a while to get to the bottom of it, but the person who had been doing it left and no other current staff member has taken it up.
What about Lost Coast?
Maybe they would, I don't know, but she called time standard multiple times because they're like, well, we'll see if anybody wants to, and no one wants to. So basically, at this point, we're just doing it on our own. We're
Okay.
putting them we're gonna start putting it in our newsletter and that. So I want to give you an update on that.
How could somebody initiate contact with the North Coast Journal to encourage them to pick that up?
Oh, that's an idea too.
That, because that's the dominant local newspaper. I mean, the Time Standard
Yeah,
is, you know, paper copies are,
yeah,
and I'm not surprised, I'm disappointed, but
yeah.
because it's, you know, been decades.
Oh,
that
yeah.
they've been doing it.
Right. And then I also wanted to mention, I think most of you probably know this, my daughter is 9 months pregnant. She's due November 3rd, and I am on grandma duty to watch her son, my grandson, when she goes to the hospital to deliver. And I'm just letting everybody know, I'm trying to keep my calendar, you know, somewhat clear or something in that time. But I just want to give people a heads up that, because you know how it is, you don't know for sure she's due November 3rd, but not sure what day that could happen, you know. So I'm just putting it out there that that's not, you know, I don't know, I surely still have the baby by the November board meeting. But just in case, I just want everybody to know that.
So are you bringing your grandson? Do we need to provide?
That would be great.
Oh.
That would be
Yeah.
fun.
They know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good to know. Okay, I have 2 last items to report and they are related. Oh, wait, no, I have 3 items. The one is not related. Okay, you remember our whole immunization conversation and all of that. And so we asked the attorney to create an immunization policy, a parent acknowledgement form, and then a vendor form. So far, we've gotten 2 of the 3, and 2 of those we got this week. That's how long it's taken to get this stuff back. But one of them is the immunization policy, so we'll be bringing that next month as well. There's going to be quite a few policies on next month's agenda. But the one thing that we haven't gotten yet is the vendor form. We got the parent form. So I'll be bringing, hopefully I'll have the vendor form next month. So I just want to give you an update. It's, you know, it's coming, but we just haven't gotten it all back yet. Okay, the last 2 items that are related. Some of you may already know this. Roxy, who is our school registrar out in Petrolia, is retiring at the end of this school year. And so because when that happens, we will be moving the records office to town. There won't really be a reason to have it out there anymore. And so we are looking for a facility for, you know, housing the records office. What I would like is for Coldwell Banker to leave, so we can just have this whole building. And part of the reason why that would be the most ideal is, you guys remember we have an MOU with Eureka City Schools that we can only have 3 facilities within their boundaries. We have 3 right now. So if we couldn't have this, which I am going to ask them, my next is to go to the superintendent of Eureka and ask if he is okay if we have a 4th, knowing students will not be there, that it's only going to be a records office. But if neither of those things work, it will have to be in Arcata or, you know, someplace else. So anyway, I just wanted to give you a heads up to keep your eyes open. The other option would be us finding a building that could hold the records office and us here, maybe, you know, because then it would give up this and then we'd still have 3. So I just am putting that out there to my board, who is always on the lookout for a facility. And then to go along with those things, we did get a proposal for Laserfiche for our records. The proposals that we got are for the system itself, not for taking all of the old records and scanning them and putting into the system, but it's to create and house the platform that once everything was scanned would all be in. Oh shoot, my battery's running low. That would allow us to do the searching and stuff that we needed to. And so we got 4 different proposals. The least expensive one is $445 a month. The most expensive one is $1,100 a month, and that's not apples to apples. The lesser expensive ones are housing the software, the platform on our own servers. The more expensive one is housing it all on the cloud. And also then some differences in prices are, there is a feature that they offer for creating forms within their system. So for example, our purchase order process could all be done within that system so that once it's all approved and everything, it's already where it would be housed forever. And that is an additional fee. So anyway, we're still looking at the proposals and talking about if this is something that we want to get this set up. But like I said, this is the monthly fee for the system. It has nothing to do with like the scanning of the old documents. When we got our last estimate on that, which was last year, I think, of getting that done, it was about $100,000 to scan all the old documents and get them put in. But this is, once the system's up and running, we could be doing it from now on if we didn't want to do the old. So I just wanted to let you know that that was something that we just did. And that's all.
Sherry,
Yes.
how large does the facility need to be for the records office? Give or take.
I could tell you the exact square footage of what we currently have if you wanted. Shoot, it's posted on my desk where I combined, to find out, like, if we could give everybody, what size would we need? The records office is not very big. It could be a pretty small office. It's, if I'm remembering right, it's around 2,000 square feet is what we currently have. So, that could be a pretty small office.
Okay. And then I'm curious about the proposals that you're getting for the platform. We're technically a nonprofit. So are you receiving rates at the nonprofit rate? And there's a lot of free
I
platform.
understand your question.
So my background in communications and external affairs, I deal a lot with this. And it takes some digging, but a lot of these services often offer their platforms for free to nonprofit. It just takes a few hoops to get through to get to that point. But of course, I'm not in education in my professional day to day. So I don't know if it's a little different, but I'm just curious if you're asking for those rates.
Well, the company that we got the proposal from, that's all they do.
Okay. And it's still
Is-
that high?
Schools are nonprofits as well.
Right.
And that's, they do like all the schools in the area. They're also who we lease our copiers from. As well as lots of other schools here locally.
Yeah.
That's who we got the proposal from.
Seems so high.
Yeah, I know, it is. I agree. We can get more proposals too. But it has to comply with HIPAA, it has to comply with FERPA, it has to, have certain securities around it that we're, required to have.
Right. Well, okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, all of this is in the realm of confidentiality. And just to clarify, you know, the records aren't just Northern United, which you would think, you know, wouldn't be that many.
Yeah.
But if you recall in previous discussions, we're responsible for the previous Matol records. So that accounts for, you know, the lion's share of all of them. So,
Yeah.
um,
And I'll keep you up to date on that.
but, very much appreciated.
Mhm.
That's it. And
That's it. Yeah.
thank you very much. 7.6, the board report. Bianca, you have anything to share with us?
I went to the back to school night at Pine Grove. It was very, very lovely. Thank you to the staff and teachers that put that on. It was very well attended. The kids had a really great time as well while we were as parents, getting to know the staff and teachers. There was a really great turnout for volunteers, so hopefully that those folks stick with it, right? They seem like they're excited about it and gonna have fun as parent volunteers. And that's really it. I'm sorry that I missed you all last month. I appreciate your continued grace. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Melissa.
I guess the only thing to report would be almost more on a parent note, but my daughter has one of our Siskiyou, a new teacher here, Allison Darms. And I just wanted to report that as, you know, on a personal or like a parental level, she's a great teacher and very attentive. So I'm really glad that we have another teacher on board with us. And that's really all I have to report this month.
Good, thank you. Rosemary?
I have nothing.
Okay, your voice is
She's
still.
fading.
Yeah, she is. And I have nothing. Next board meeting, 8.1, possible agenda items.
There's a long list. There's quite a few policies, the bylaws, the board handbook.
Anything else? All right, next board meeting date, November 10. And if there's nothing else, I'll adjourn this meeting, and it is 6:13. So thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Good night.